Zamfara State students abandon dilapidated hostels to sleep in classrooms. Senate President urges religious leaders to pray for Nigeria. Nigeria to abide by agreement reached with neighbors on border reopening. On business, World Bank's IFC partners with Nigerian Bank to boost trade with $40 million. On sports, Cristiano Ronaldo confirms mother stable after stroke shock. And on the international scene, Lagos State Commissioner of Health says Chinese national tested negative on second coronavirus. Welcome to Standard Voice Television News. I am Musa Joy Onyoza. Now the news in full. Infrastructural decay in secondary schools in Zamfara State has put authorities on edges as they began moves towards addressing the challenges. The problems include dilapidated schools, dormitories, classrooms, and many other facilities that aid teaching and learning in the schools. Our correspondent who visited Government Science Secondary School, Gusau, found that the student hostels were eyesores. Some of them are without roofs and windows, thereby exposing the student to harsh weather conditions and possible diseases. Some of the staff of the school told newsmen that during the rainy season, the students used to take shelter or sleep in the classrooms or laboratories to avoid the heavily leaking roofs in the hostels. Our staff of the school said there have been complaints by the students about trespass and theft in the hostels because the rooms are without doors and windows. The teacher said whenever it is raining, they pity the student because they relocate to classrooms for shelter. However, the State Commissioner for Education, Dr. Ibrahim Abdullahi Gusau, told a correspondent that they had gone round the schools across the state to see for himself what they took over from the previous administration. He said he visited Government Science Secondary School, Gusau, Government Girls Secondary School, Koturkoshi, GSS Kaura Namoda, and many other schools, and it is the same horrible story to tell. This is how Governor Bello Mohammed Matawale's administration met education in Zamfara State. That is why the governor appropriated 20% of the state annual budget to education sector, and the government is working round the clock to revive ailing sector. He said efforts have been made to confront the challenges and address them head-on. The commissioner said part of the action plans are reconstruction and renovations of dilapidated structures in the schools, which include classrooms, hostels, and laboratories. Dr. Ibrahim Abdullahi Gusau said the government is planning to recruit more teachers and train and retrain the existing ones as part of effort to equip the school with adequate working materials, more especially in the field of science. The commissioner said the present administration is also proposing to construct female-only science secondary school in the state. Caliphate Trust recalled that there was a mute drama last week when Governor Bello Matawale asked school principals to eat the unpalatable food good for students at Government Science Secondary School, Gusau, and Government Girls Secondary School, Gusau. The governor also directed all schools' principals and officials in charge of school feeding in the state to provide better food for students or face disciplinary action. Governor Matawale, who supervised the compulsory eating of the meal by principal and staff of Government Science Secondary School and Government Girls Secondary School, said he was dismayed after meeting the students eating substandard food. The governor warned that henceforth the principals and the feeding officers throughout the state must eat the same food they cook for their students or be dismissed. He noted that the state government have been providing all necessary food items for the student and must therefore be delivered to them appropriately or face the wrath of his administration. President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, has called on religious leaders in the country to pray for Nigeria and its leadership, saying that the country will eventually overcome its tribulations. Alhaji Lawal stated this in a speech delivered at the funeral mass held for the late Senator Ignatius Dantong at St. Louis Catholic Church, Jos and Plateau State. The federal mass was officiated by the Archbishop of Abuja Catholic Diocese, Most Reverend Ignatius Kagama. He said prayers can do a lot of things and can make leaders to perform, so Nigerians leaders need prayers so that they remain focused on ensuring that they discharge their obligations and mandate to create the kind of country that all of us desire. Speaking on the challenges faced by the country in several states, the Senate President added that they may see things they don't want to see today, but the power of prayers can change so many things for better. Alhaji Lawal, while paying tribute to the deceased lawmaker who represented Plateau South until his demise, said Long Jang's request for unity and peace are lasting legacies that will continue to unify Nigerians. According to the Senate President, the National Assembly will work concertedly at building on those ideals the deceased lived for, so as to attain peace and progress for the country. He prayed that his death that has brought so many together will continue to unite the people and the country. Among dignitaries present were the Deputy Senate President Ovi Omo Agege, Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives Idris Wase, Governor of Plateau State Simon Lalong, Deputy Governor Sonny Theodin. Senators who accompanied the Senate President include Rochas Okorocha, Philip Aduda, Uche Ekwenefe, Halilu Jika, and Aisha Dahiru Ahmed. President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed willingness of his administration to implement the decision of the tripartite committee made up of Nigeria, Benin, and Niger Republic on the partial closure of the country's land border as soon as the report is received. Speaking at an audience with Mr. Bashir Maman, outgoing president of the ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development, and his successor, Dr. George Nana Danko, in the State House, President Buhari explained that the partial closure had given Nigeria a number of insights. President Buhari thanked the outgoing ECOWAS president for the improvement recorded in his 8-year tenure and urged his successor to build on those achievements. The outgoing bank chief informed the president that the bank had been transformed from loss-making to profit, with commitment from ECOWAS member states doubling to $1.4 billion. Dr. Danko, the incoming president, thanked the Nigerian leader and its people for their support in his emergence. He gave credit to President Buhari's economic strategies captured under the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan, noting that it has brought about economic recovery, stability, and food security in the country. He pledged to take commitment to partnering with Nigeria towards achieving rapid development in the country and the rest of the West Africa. The Vice-Chancellor of the Federal University of Technology, Akure, Ondo State, Professor Joseph Adeola, has applauded the federal government for the initiative of intervention in the internal roads construction in the institution. The VC made a recommendation while officially taking over 1.80 kilometers internal road rehabilitated by the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing. He appreciated the minister, Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola San, and the entire ministry for the internal road intervention project at the institution. Professor Fuape solicited for the engagement of the student of Civil and Engineering Department of the institution in the ministry's highway and housing project in the state for practical experiences, adding that such partnership would help the student acquire the nitty-gritty of roads and housing construction before graduation. He, however, pleaded that more internal roads of the institution should be included in the second intervention phase of the project to increase it to 2.8 kilometers from the present one. In his remarks at the handing over ceremony, the Minister of Works and Housing, who was represented by the Acting Controller of Works, Ondo State, Federal Ministry of Works and Housing, Engineer Olajide Hussein said that the gap of Nigerians' infrastructure needs is steadily being bridged by a gradual process of repairs, renewal and construction on major highways, and it has reached the schools. The minister said that the internal road project at the Federal University of Technology Akure was an investment in education by the federal government through the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing. The Deputy Vice President of the Federal University of Technology Akure Student Union, Caroline Felix, said that she was impressed by the internal road intervention project at the institution, adding that with this development, students will be able to attend lectures with ease. The National Youth Service Corps has said that it has in place certain preventive measures to prevent the entry of coronavirus into its 37 orientation camps nationwide, as the exercise for the Batch A 2020 takes off in about a week. The NYSC noted that prospective Corps members coming to orientation camps must not panic, as the scheme was already in license with the Federal Ministry of Health on the several preventive measures to be adopted. The scheme, in a release by Director of Press and Public Relations, Mrs. Adenike Adeyemi, added that, like it happened during the outbreak of Ebola virus, measures had been intensified to guard against the contraction of the virus by Corps members. As a proactive action, it has in place certain preventive measures in the 37 orientation camps of the scheme in order to guard against the contraction of the highly contagious virus by the Corps members. In addition to the above strategy, the NYSC Secretariat had since stepped up the sensitization of serving Corps members as well as other Nigerians on things to know about the virus, particularly the preventive measures to be adopted. Accordingly, the management wishes to emphatically state that the orientation course for the 2020 Batch A Corps members shall hold nationwide as earlier publicized. The NYSC noted that it was not true that it would postpone the orientation course because of the coronavirus scare. The scheme added that it is a false and very misleading story circulating on the social media. The West African Examination Council has announced the result of the 2020 First Series West African Senior School Certificate Examination for private candidates. The head of National Office of WAEC, Mr. Olu Adenipekun, made a disclosure on Tuesday in Lagos at a news conference. Giving a breakdown of the result, the HNO said a total of 12,395 candidates registered for the examination, while 12,075 of them sat for it. Mr. Olanipeku said 9,438 candidates obtained credit and above in 2 subjects, while 8,125 obtained credit and above in 3 subjects, and 6,713 obtained credit and above in 4 subjects. According to him, 5,251 candidates obtained credit and above in 5 subjects, while 3,892 candidates obtained credit and above in a minimum of 5 subjects, including English language and general mathematics. He said 548 results were withheld in connection with alleged cases of examination malpractice. The cases are being investigated, and reports of the investigation will be presented to the appropriate committee of the Council in due course for consideration. He said the committee's decisions will be communicated to the affected candidates. He added that of the total number of candidates who sat for the examination, 11,816 had their result fully processed and released, while 259 others had a few of their subjects still being processed due to errors traceable to them in the course of registration or writing of the examination. He said such errors are being corrected by councils to enable the affected candidates to get their result fully processed and released subsequently. We'll be right back after this short commercial break. Stay tuned. Welcome back on Business. Jemima Samuel has more detail.
Thank you. Welcome to Business Desk. With local businesses often complaining about availability of credit, Coronation Merchant Bank and International Finance Corporation, an arm of the World Bank, have partnered to trade. The partnership entails both companies setting up a 40 million trade finance guarantee facility. This partnership makes it the first in 5 years that International Finance Corporation (IFC) will be contributing to the Nigerian market after putting a hold on its Global Trade Finance Program (GTFP) in Nigeria in 2015. According to the international financier, GTFP extends and complements the capacity of banks to deliver trade financing by providing risk mitigation in new or challenging markets where trade lines may be constrained. Through the partnership, Coronation Merchant Bank and International Finance Corporation, which is a member of the World Bank Group, intends to enhance intercontinental trade. It is expected to be a motivating factor to other international financiers as regards the private sector in the country. International Financial Corporation uses its influence, capital and expertise to create markets and opportunities where they are not existing and they are needed the most. The corporation does this to extend extreme poverty and boost shared prosperity in developing countries through private sector growth. Speaking on the partnership, the IFC Regional Industry Head, Financial Institution Group for Europe and Central Asia, Mr. Victor Di Bello, said increasing access to trade finance for local businesses is an important mechanism to support the development of the private sector in emerging markets. He said they expect the financing to help boost intercontinental trade and spur economic growth for the region. The acting managing director of Coronation Merchant Bank, Mr. Banjo, stated that the GTFP partnership is a central milestone for them in their journey to become a leading financial institution in Nigeria. He expressed delight to partner with the IFC in providing trade financial solutions to their customers and assured all their clients of their continued support to enable them achieve their business objectives. The international financier has often focused on the private sector in emerging markets, working with about 2,000 businesses worldwide. In a Nairametrics report last year, December, the International Finance Corporation said Nigeria needed to make more credits available to business if it was determined to free the nation from the claws of poverty. The country manager, Mr. Ime Lore, warned that 120 million people would be poor by 2030 if businesses continue to lack access to capital to further their operation. And that's what we have on Business Desk today. I am Jemima Samuel.
On sports, Sufyan Abubakar has more detail.
Hello, welcome to Standard Voice Television Sports Room. I am Sufyan Abubakar. As usual, I bring the sports updates. Cristiano Ronaldo has confirmed his mother is now stable and recovering in hospital after she suffered a stroke attack on Tuesday. Ronaldo missed Juventus training and returned to Madeira due to his mother's illness. Juventus coach Maurizio Sarri confirmed he was expected to miss Coppa Italia semi-final against AC Milan, which was scheduled to be played on Wednesday, but later postponed due to coronavirus fears as more cases have been reported across Italy. Ronaldo used his Twitter account to thank the public for their well wishes to him and his family. And here are the results of some of the major games played across Europe over the midweek. Chelsea defeated Liverpool 2-0 in the English FA Cup to make it 3 defeats for Liverpool in their previous 4 games, after losing to Atletico Madrid in the UEFA Champions League and Watford in the Premier League. Now they have lost to Chelsea in the FA Cup to make it 3 out of 4. The only game they won was a narrow win against West Ham United at Anfield over the past week. In another FA Cup match played, West Brom Albion lost at home to Newcastle thanks to 2 goals from Ruben Almiron. And in the DFB Pokal in Germany, Schalke 04 lost at home to Bayern Munich, who advances to the semi-finals of the competition. And that's all we have on sports today. Back to the newsroom.
And on the international scene, In a swift turn of events, the Lagos State Health Commissioner says the earlier reported positive coronavirus case of a Chinese man on board an Ethiopian airline plane to Lagos tested negative. The Commissioner, Mr. Akin Abayomi, cleared the air in a press briefing where he said test results shows that although the patient shows symptoms similar to the coronavirus, it turned out to be negative. The first case involving an Italian man remains the only recorded case in the country. The patient is said to be stable in quarantine at the coronavirus facility in Lagos. Meanwhile, the Minister for Health, Professor Osagi Ohanire, said the NCDC boss, Chike Ihekwezu, has gone into a 14 days self-quarantine after his return from China to understudy the pattern and behavior of the coronavirus COVID-19. According to the minister, the measures has become necessary in line with the laid-down laws put in place to contain the spread of the virus. The minister was speaking when he appeared before the Senate leadership to brief the lawmakers on level of preparedness to tackle coronavirus in Nigeria. Speaking on the level of preparedness, the minister explained that there are already established isolation centers in Lagos, Abuja, Kano, and Port Harcourt to respond to any emergency. The minister said they were honored that one of the scientists who had chosen to go to China to study the disease was the DG of NCDC. That has been the news from Standard Voice Television. To end the news, a quick look at the major headlines. Zamfara State students abandoned dilapidated hostels to sleep in classrooms. Senate President urges religious leaders to pray for Nigeria. Nigeria to abide by agreements reached with neighbors on border reopening. On business, World Bank's IFC partners with Nigerian Bank to boost trade with $40 million. On sports, Cristiano Ronaldo confirms mother stable after stroke shock. And on the international scene, Lagos State Commissioner of Health says Chinese national tested negative on second coronavirus. That's the news on behalf of the production crew and the head of News and Current Affairs Department, Ibrahim Garobatinao. I still remain Mosajoy Uniola. Stay tuned.